Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day. I'm Dr. Siti Rabiatul Aisyah binti Idris and this is BMM1533 Strength of Materials 1 class section 3. So today we are going to look at on the course introduction for BMM 1533. This is my contact details. My name is Dr. Siti Rabiatul Aisyah binti Idris. These are my office, location of my office, and this is my phone number as well as email address and also my social account. Please do subscribe my social account. A little bit on educational background. Well, I have graduated from University Technology Malaysia from degree until PhD, which specialization in mechanical engineering, and my research interest would be materials engineering, soldering and joining technology as well as surface coating. As for the course synopsis, this course is actually introduces to the students the concept of stress and strain under axial loading, torsion, pure bending, analysis and design of beams for bending, sharing stresses in beam and thin wall members. Well, basically there will be 4 COs in this subject, CO1 until CO4. Well, there are 3 fundamental areas in engineering mechanics, which include statics, dynamics and strength of materials. Previously in statics and dynamics, students have learned on how to calculate the value of forces which acting on rigid bodies, which means that in that class the deformation or change in shape of that rigid bodies are neglected. In contrast to strength of materials subjects, in this subject students are going to learn on how to calculate the value of forces and also the effects of that forces on the body itself, which means that in this subject the bodies will no longer considered as rigid bodies. There are 3 main categories in strength of materials which we need to know. Number 1 is the internal forces of a member. Number 2, the changes in dimension which are caused by the internal forces. And number 3, the mechanical properties of the materials, for example, hardness, toughness, ductility, brittleness, elasticity, plasticity and stiffness. Well, as we all know, different types of product being produced using different types of materials, and therefore we need to calculate the forces or the stresses acting on that body depending on types of materials or what types of products, what types of materials that product being produced. As for the course syllabus, it will take up to 14 weeks, and week 1 until week 5 we are going to learn on CO1, which under topic stress and strain under axial loading, while week 6 until week 2 students are going to learn on CO2 with the topics on torsion, followed by week 9 until 11 which is CO3, and the topics covered would be pure bending. Last but not least, week 12 until week 14 students are going to learn on CO4 with title analysis and design of beams for bending. For the course assessment, there will be 3 types of assessment. Number 1 is midterm exam, quizzes, and number 3 final examination. Midterm exam will cover CO1 and CO2 with a percentage of 30%, and for the quizzes, each chapters, each COs will be covered with a percentage of 30%, and finally final examination all topics, all COs will be covered with a percentage of 40%, and therefore altogether there will be 100% assessment. For the reference book, I would like to suggest these types of reference book: Mechanics of Materials by Ferdinand Beer, and also Mechanics of Materials by Hibbeler. And I will be using both types of these reference book for my lecture class. Another part is that on the workbook, because in this lecture we are going to use this workbook because a lot of exercises have been included in that workbook, and in this subject, in this section, we are going to use this workbook for exercising after the lecture. That will be all for today's lecture. Thank you very much and see you again.